Hello everyone and welcome back to English 1510. It's an online overview for an online course at the 1510 level for week 5. I left a couple of posts up here that I'm going to include here in the overview of the opening. These should be dismissed from the page itself by the time the videos and everything launch for the week 5 at 6 p.m. Typically post it up a little bit earlier than that, but remember that at the opening of the week it's between 6 and 8 p.m. I usually have everything by 6 p.m. I just say that in the event that something comes up that sort of restricts posting or anything comes up with a problem with the upload. But in any event, this one here, I'm just keeping these up as a reminder and overview of some things that came up over the last week and a half, 2 weeks. Due dates and memoir, peer review discussion board posts and grades. And then down here, an additional comment on that. This was between two of 3 sections that were similar in a couple of questions from a few students. One in one section that sent an email, and then another comment that I received in the instant messaging asking about one of the things, and then commenting on one of the feedback files, and then a couple other students sort of sit with similar questions. I want to say, make sure that if you didn't see this, you review this. I was impressed by the post. The vast majority of students in all sections posted up drafts in the memoir peer review section for the discussion board, and then also made sure to go through and review with classmates. Now, the discussion boards, a couple of different things. Discussion boards, remember, are up here under discussions. They also do show up in the calendar in accordance with your the availability date when they start and the dates when they end. Remember that discussed and overviewed very clearly in the course overview outlines down here, and the overview videos from prior weeks detail the exact dates of each one of those, and they're listed with their week. I had a couple of situations where students claiming things about not knowing when those dates were, so they missed one or both of those types of posts. It's been pretty clear since the beginning of the semester, and I want to remind you, if you're not looking at your upcoming events with this scheduled calendar open, make sure that you do have it open. I don't usually utilize the framing of this calendar, but you can keep both of them open to indicate dates and times and things that will be open and closed on here, right? So if you click on this, it shows very clearly what that is that's on this. I prefer that students make sure that they are looking at upcoming events overall, not just for that date. So if I go through and look through on here, I can see some of those, but the main thing is to have those upcoming events opened up so you can see everything all throughout your semester as to what's going on. They're also listed under discussions and assignments. Now, nothing there has changed. So for any student who's still not following along with those, and again, I don't want it to sound like it's a lot of students. It's a few in each section. The vast majority of students not only have gone in there and posted their own files, their drafts, but they've gone through and participated by reviewing at least one classmate's file. And some of you have had some pretty good back and forth, and I've been entering into some of those discussions myself. I've read all of them to date for each one of the sections, and so far they've been fairly well thought out. They've been mindful of the requirements of the review, and they've been very you've all been very willing to engage with one another on commentary back and forth. That's been nice to see. I want to note that some students did not submit the draft on 1/29 for the memoir or review a classmate's post by the Thursday on 2/2. Students who did not post or review classmates received 0 in both categories. It might not be a large part of the semester grade, but that should not be the incentive. The point that I'm making there is, I know in the past some students have just chosen that they don't engage with those because they're not a larger portion of the grade, and they only need a certain grade for whatever it is, transfer credit or the program that they're in, anything along those lines. that might be part of your incentive structure, but the problem there is that it's only helpful to have a peer review forum like this if students are actually engaging and we get enough students to review one another's. Otherwise, you're relying just on tutoring for those things at the drafting stage. Remember that the grades that I post, I only guarantee a rubric response, which means I'll put a percentage on there for your draft credit, which most of you note your draft credit grade has been higher than what I recommend on your rubric overview. So you might have gotten 24 out of 25 on your draft because you had the right format and all the content was there and you met the minimum requirement of word count. But then I said in a comment bubble, see the rubric for a C grade, even though you got an A on the draft submission. The errors that are here look all sentence level, so you're making sure you're reviewing those. Students who need more than that have to rely on peer review forums and then the ASC tutoring during the partial drafting stages. The portions on here, make sure that you guys are utilizing these. And then last week I had a student inquiry reading the posted grades for the memoir peer review and discussion board, so the post addressed those. There was a discrepancy between when I was posting one grade for your posting one and then also the review of a classmate's. The scores for the review and discussion boards excuse me, are out of 15 points. The score breakdown is as follows: 10 points for the on-time posting of your draft, and then the 5 points for fully reviewing at least one of your classmates. And let me also state on this point, I am making note of students who do more than one classmates, go through and review another one, and also engage back and forth. I do take those things into consideration. I do make note of them, so at the end of the semester, if there's anything, a student weighing in a grade category, I can justify a percentage in there for some type of extra credit or something along those lines, in addition to the ASC tutoring and those things. Originally, the two scores here, the 5 and 10, were combined in one category that just said discussion board 1, 2, 3, peer review of that file. I have now separated those, so if you're looking in your grades categories now, you'll see that for each one of these, you now have posted draft and review of draft, so those are separate in terms of the posting. So you won't see me post 10 points in one and then save it and then go back and review the other thing. You'll have them in different categories and they may be posted at different times, which typically happens. You have an entire week, you have an entire 5 days after putting your draft up to also go through and review a classmate's. So there were students where I was posting up to 10 points and then saving it and then going back and putting the 5 points in for the review of a classmate's. And students were thinking they had a 66% in the category when it just hadn't had the other posting on there. So those are separated now. So in any event, that's the breakdown on those. Now this week, in the week 5 overview, we're going to have a couple of things I want to make sure you touch base on. This is where we're talking about, for the couple of people that had questions on this, when we're talking about these submissions, remember your week 3, we're talking about the timeline from your start of the class. Week 1, week 2, week 3. These classes all began for this stage right here. You need to go from your week 1 starting date, week 2 and week 3 for this section in particular. These sections, I should say in particular, you're talking about a week 3. That would be the 16th through the 20th in terms of the work week there, and then the submission dates following at the end of those. So you have the week 4 submissions, right, of actual postings. You've had your rough draft due by this Sunday coming up, and then you posted your draft up for the discussion board, and then you had to put in the feedback for classmates the following Thursday, right? So on week 4, discussion board, read and review at least one classmates no longer later than this Thursday on week 4. And then all students by the Thursday of that week reviewing a classmates. So that would have been the 29th, as it said down here, the 29th for this and the 2nd for the review of the classmates. Now, this week in week 5, we've already gone through drafting stage. I'm pretty close to being done with everyone's on memoir, summary, and outline. And now I'm just posting them both up at the same time, your summary outline and your rough draft for anybody who remains over the next couple of days here. If you don't see your rough draft grade go up right around the same time as your summary outline, it won't be much more than a day between the two. But remember, the draft grade is just for draft credit, and most of the things are covered on the summary outline. I include audio ones on ones that I can't do it for every one of them. Now, the starting point this week You have this entire week to do a finalization of your memoir. So watch for that feedback on mine, review what your classmate had to say on your drafting stage, look at the ETS data on your file submission, see if there's anything marked there that says it's problematic, and if you need to, and it was recommended at the start of the semester, take it through the ASC tutoring, make sure I get the form forwarded to me, so you get extra credit on those. And you have this whole week to finalize that final draft and put it into the Dropbox for final draft, which up here, memoirs, final drafts due on the 13th. Now you'll note that before that, you have the availability starts today, this evening, at 6 p.m. for rhetorical analysis, summary, and outline. And the due date, as listed on here, is the 12th, this upcoming Sunday. So this is what you should be focused on for the new assignment this week. This is the revision and any final edits you need to make on that piece. The reason that this Dropbox here is, or the availability of that discussion board or the peer review is open till this time, remember, was so that you could still look at commentary that came from a classmate while you're doing this final edit and drafting stage of that memoir. It wasn't because this was open for you to continue to have that for submission timeline and review timeline. It's just so that you can look at classmates' commentary as you're revising for a final draft. This portion here is due this upcoming Sunday. This is due the following night on Monday, the 13th. This weekend that just passed, on the 5th, there was no new submission. So hopefully you were following along with those and you didn't have anything else additional that you tried to do there. Week 5, make sure you keep up with the reading. The summary outline, the Dropbox opens at 6 p.m. as I said. And note with those, make sure you review the commentary they got in your first summary outline. Many of you did not complete that thing in total. I have a number of different things that you'll be able to do with these pieces. You'll see that when you click on this here right now, you'll see that you have this where it says it's available this evening. I'm looking at this in student view. I will show you what's going to be popping up this evening. If we go to that same Dropbox this evening, there's another instructional overview video that's right here that takes us through some of the basics. You will need to read the content here, go through the example pieces and assignment breakdown. There's an ad link here that takes you through an ad that these instructions go through and use as an example. There's also an additional interview link with the director of that ad. This is something additional. Not everyone, needs to watch this, but some of you might find it quite interesting for the context of this piece. And then once again on this, there's the summary and outline that you're doing. So make sure you watch that. You'll download the rubric, you'll download the summary and outline piece, and you'll download the sample paper so that you can read that and understand exactly what someone has already done in the past that turned out to be an A paper. I'll say about this student sample paper, it's really extensive. It's a long but very well done piece. This intro is a bit more extensive than most students would need, but I will point out that it does do the general to specific format and the layout. It has a very clear thesis that names the rhetorical devices that were used. It also explains why the ad presented these things in this way, and then each one of the body paragraphs starts with a clear topic sentence that names the device being analyzed in that body, right? Imagery in that first one becomes a tagline, the rhetorical device, logical level, and then on here, rhetorical devices also included music on the sound that they could hear. So for you guys, if you download this one, you'll note that there are a few things on here. It goes through this in the instructional piece too. You're going to be, you're going to include the title of the ad that you're analyzing. You just put it in quotation marks here. This is the example one, and then here you give me the link to the YouTube ad so I can find the exact one you reviewed. A 200-word summary covering the information described in the Dropbox for the assignment on the summary, and then note, remove all of these sample sentences before you put yours in, but this one is done fairly extensively with example statements talking about that like a girl ad that's described in the Dropbox, right? The student sample paper is about something entirely different. This is all giving you exactly how this is filled out in accordance with if someone were analyzing that ad, right? The always like a girl ad. Remember, what it says about rhetorical devices. Logos, ethos, and pathos are not rhetorical devices. They are rhetorical concepts. You're talking about the rhetorical devices. Your topic sentences should be here. Your thesis statement should be here. All the other information goes here. Okay? I look forward to seeing them, guys.